Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a new Rapidi webinar about data integration. Today, we'll be diving into the world of maximizing business synergy, and today's topic is HubSpot and Microsoft Dynamics 365 ERP integration. So I'm Serene, and I'm a sales consultant here at Rapidi. I'm happy to be your host for today. And here with me, my colleague Andrea. Andrea is the data integration consultant, and she'll be explaining all the technical parts about the integration. So let's start with today's agenda. We will first have an introduction to Rapidi so that you know about the company, who we are, what we do. We will then tell you about the importance of integration. We will tell you about Rapidi integration solutions, and Andrea will explain HubSpot to MS Dynamics 365 ERP integration in detail. I will tell you a little bit more about some of our customer testimonials, and I will explain how you can get started with us. In the end, we always have a Q&A session, so feel free to write all of your questions, doubts in the chat, and we will go through them in the end. And don't forget that we have a special offer today, so I will be explaining in the end, so stay tuned. First of all, about Rapidi. So Rapidi has over 30 years of data integration expertise. Our journey started back then when Microsoft was a small group called Navision, and the CEO and founder of Rapidi, who was Michael Bob, was part of that group. So this speaks about our expertise in the Microsoft side. We are also Salesforce partners since the beginning, since 2007, and we integrate the important tech players, which are Salesforce, Microsoft, HubSpot, and many more. We do have customers worldwide and through different industries. What does Rapidi offer? We are offering a flexible, simple, and robust complete solution. The solution that we have is based on a cutting-edge cloud technology, and it's really user-friendly, doesn't require any programming at all. And of course, what we are offering is totally flexible to match your needs. At Rapidi, we believe that we go the extra mile for our customers because we do not only offer you the solution and leave you there on your own, we offer you the outstanding support and the post-go-live support included within our subscriptions. And the reason that we are offering a cost-effective solution that works well and the support which always here for you, we have the great customer references, and maybe this is also the reason we are holding the 5-star rating in AppExchange and other platforms. So let's start with the first topic, which is the importance of integration. At Rapidi, we believe that it's all about simplifying the integration process and making it easy for you. First question that people have is, why do we integrate? So when we talk about integration, we talk about 4 important different points. First one would be the collaboration. When you have your data integrated, you have activated the existing data, and this will lead to have the full overview of the customer, and this will lead to be able to enable the internal teams to collaborate. Second point would be the efficiency. So when you integrate your data, there are no double data entries, which will make no switching between systems, and this would eliminate the rework and allow the process automation. Third point would be quality. So when you have your systems talking to each other, you will have a consistent data. And then we can talk about a data that you can trust, which will help you have better reports and, of course, increase the user adoption. Fourth point would be the growth. So, of course, when you integrate your systems, you have a better decision support, which will increase the customer satisfaction and allow you to sell more and, of course, sell faster. And then the second question would be, why is integration important? So integration would allow you to streamline business and sales processes. It ensures data consistency across systems. And of course, this will allow you to have real-time data synchronization, which would improve the decision-making and productivity. It will also reduce or maybe eliminate the data silos and manual processes and, of course, the communication gaps. And when we talk about this topic, we also talk about enhancing the overall customer experience. So next topic would be the Rapidi data integration solution. Sorry. So here we will talk about the data integration solution at Rapidi. So at Rapidi, we offer an integration that is fast. There is no code cloud integration, which is simple by design, installation, and use. We offer you pre-configured templates for quick setup of your integration. We also have extensive expertise with Microsoft Dynamics. You can have Microsoft on cloud or on-premise. And we work with all the dynamic versions. We also work with Salesforce, HubSpot, and many others. We do have some common integrations because our customers have more needs. For example, we have the HubSpot to Dynamic 365 Business Central. We have Salesforce to Dynamic 365. We also have Salesforce to NetSuite and Salesforce to Salesforce. And finally, Dynamic 365 Business Central to Dynamics 365 Sales. So this will also allow the data replication across multiple Dynamics 365 and legacy databases, such as the NAV and AX, and also to REST API support and many other endpoints. So sometimes people ask us, what are the most common endpoints that you have? So we work with the Microsoft Dynamic, all of the Microsoft Dynamic version and many CRM such as Salesforce and all the systems that you can see here. But not only that, if there is any other system that you need, you can consult us, and we are not stuck into this list, but always expanding. I think that's it from my side. Over to you, Andrea.
Perfect, thank you. So now we'll talk a bit about the Rapidi data integration solutions, but we will focus on key functionalities. So first we have data mapping and transformation. Second, we have real-time synchronization, customization and scalability, automated workflows, security measures, and monitoring and analytics. So let's go through them one by one. First, we have data mapping and transformation. So within Rapidi, you will be able to map and transform any data without any type of major effort. So you can make sure you have that happening via our pre-built mapping template. So for example, if you have a need for, let's say, a Microsoft Dynamics ERP and HubSpot integration, you can go ahead and use the mapping templates, and then you will have saved a lot of time and resources. Then we do have support for custom data fields, because we want to make sure that you have the flexibility that's needed, and that flexibility is also needed to meet certain business needs. So if you are using custom fields, custom objects, then you can definitely include them and build your integration accordingly. And then Rapidi will offer an intuitive data mapping interface, so you can customize your current data flows. So if you work on an integration and you add all your fields and everything, and then later on you need to make changes, you can go in, make the changes, and then those would apply to your integration, and everything will be synchronized correctly. Next, we have a real-time synchronization. Of course, when you build an integration, so you have all the mappings and everything, but you need data to go back and forth. So in Rapidi, you do have that. Data will be synchronized, and this means that everything will be up to date in both systems. So if you have customers, orders, invoices as part of your integration, then everything will be synchronized and updated. Also, there are situations when you have an integration that is linked to leads, opportunities, or interactions. So this means that you'll get immediate updates for those specific records or transactions. So in the end, you will see that data latency will be minimized, and you will have improved decision-making within the company. So we have synchronization in place, everything is running, and then you do have to, sometimes customize or even scale your integration. In this case, Rapidi can adapt to any business processes and structures. So we can ensure scalability. So it doesn't matter if you're a small company or a huge enterprise. We can make sure that any integration that we build can be used for other departments or for other companies. And of course, we do provide customization based on your needs. So if you need to extend your current integration, add more to it, or include customizations in terms of new objects or fields, you can definitely do that within Rapidi. And then, of course, when we talk about integrations, we have to focus a bit on the automated workflows that we see. So the Rapidi's automated workflows will streamline your business processes. So what this means is that the repetitive tasks are being automated, and this means then that you reduce manual effort and you minimize errors. And then, of course, the flexibility to customize your flows and your setup so that they all match your specific business requirements. Next one here would be security measures. We are definitely committed to data security and compliance because we do want to make sure that our customers feel safe and confident about the way we handle their data. And that's the reason we have encryption protocols, we have access controls, and many other security features. And then we have, last but not least, so we have monitoring and analytics. So any Rapidi customer will have access to our monitoring and analytics tools. So they are meant to track the integration performance. So they will give you this full insight into your data flows so that you can identify any bottlenecks, any performance issues, anything that has to do with how your data is being transferred. So this will be an opportunity for you to understand how things are running and, if necessary, optimize your processes via our statistics. Now let's focus a bit on the HubSpot and the Dynamics 365 BC integration. So in order to do that, we do want to mention that Rapidi is an iPaaS with no staging of your data. So it's very easy to be set up. You don't need to be a developer to actually build an integration yourself. We can connect multiple systems and companies. So for example, if you have, let's say 5 companies in your Dynamics environment, then you can definitely connect to all of them and transfer data. And then we can transfer any data. It can be standard, custom, a combination, anything. And then of course we have all-inclusive subscriptions and services. What this means is that you will know from the very beginning what's included and everything will be transparent. And of course, you will have support post-go live and you will get specialized help from our team. Now, when we talk about HubSpot in the MS Dynamics 365, we do want to talk a bit more about the mapping templates. So if you have a situation when you need to integrate these 2 systems, then you can use our pre-built mapping templates. So these mapping templates consist of all the fields that are needed in order to transfer data successfully from one system to another. So it means that when we have built them, we have looked at both systems and their capabilities, and we made sure that everything is correctly set up. What you see here on the screen, these are those mapping templates. So for example, we'll start with the first one, which would be companies in HubSpot and customers in Microsoft Dynamics. So if you want to synchronize companies, so you can create new companies in HubSpot, and as soon as they are being created, you can send them over to your ERP. And then if you want this information to go back to HubSpot, then you can have this done also. So either, new customers going from your ERP to HubSpot or the other way around. In either way, you can use this mapping template so you can synchronize your customers. Next would be contacts. So again, if you create contacts in HubSpot only, then you can make sure that everything goes into your ERP so that those contacts are associated with their specific customers. Then we have products. Usually, all items are maintained in your ERP along with their prices. So via the mapping templates, you can synchronize this data to HubSpot. So then you would see them as products next to their prices. So for example, if you create a new item in your ERP, then you want that to be visible in HubSpot. And in order to do that, you can use the mapping template and send it over. And this applies to updates as well. If the prices have changed, then that's also something that can be sent over. Then a very interesting one would be deals. So in HubSpot, we have deals, which are the opportunities that get closed. So as soon as you close a deal, you want that to become a sales order. So via the integration, you can actually send the deal into your ERP and have a new sales order created. So that's part of the mapping template, and that can be used immediately. And then if you want to synchronize orders from your ERP to HubSpot, if you want to see a list of all the orders and have them associated with that specific company, you can do that because you have the template already available. And then we have the posted invoices. So again, here, all the invoices are posted in the ERP, and then you want to see that information in HubSpot because you want to have a full overview of that specific customer. So via the integration, you can send everything over to HubSpot and get the information that you need. In this case, you can also go back and get historical data into HubSpot. And of course, if you have any other objects, custom or standard, that need to be integrated, you can definitely include them. The idea is that we have built the mapping templates to actually give you the opportunity to go straight into testing. So you don't spend time on mapping everything, thinking what to add, what to remove. But of course, if you, in some situations, you have a different process, let's say you have a custom process that involves custom objects, then that can be set up from scratch without any issues. And a very important point here is that the mapping templates can be adjusted according to what you need to do. So they are not fixed, they are not limited to a specific, let's say, number of fields or anything like that. So you can modify them according to what you need to see in your systems. So now let's take a look at how data looks like in HubSpot. So I'll share my screen for a second. So here, for example, this is a customer that has been created in Business Central, right? So as soon as this customer got created, then I wanted to see it here as well. So the customer got transferred into HubSpot with all the necessary information. So you can send any type of data from BC to HubSpot, and you can add any type of custom or standard fields. What you'll see here, apart from the usual data, would be the BC customer number. So in most cases, when you transfer customers from BC to HubSpot, then you also want to save the customer number from the ERP, because that's actually a very good reference, and it tells you which is that specific BC customer number. And then as soon as you have the customer created in HubSpot, which now is a company, you also need to have the contacts. So if in your ERP you have two contacts, like we have in this case, then they will be synchronized and they will be visible here. As soon as the contact is being created, it will be associated with the same customer, of course. So what you see in your ERP would be the same data, right? So what you see in Business Central, so you have the customer and two contacts, then it's the same thing in your CRM. Then next, for the same company or customer, then we have transactions. Now, we have here the deals. So in their case, then deals are being created and processed in HubSpot, and then they will be sent over to the ERP. So as soon as you have that sent over, you have a new order created. So that's pretty straightforward. However, you have sales orders in your ERP and posted invoices. So you want this to be listed here under the same company and have this insight. So what you do, you use the mapping templates and send that over to HubSpot. So like you can see here, the sales order, you'll see the order number, you'll see the amount, and then you can add any other information here. So you can modify your layout so you can see more if that's necessary. So this will give you a good insight into how many orders are linked to this customer. And for example, if now we have only 2 orders and tomorrow there will be a new one, then that new order will be synchronized and will be shown here. So this list will always be updated with new transactions as your integration continues to run. And then the second part would be the posted invoices. So here the invoices, of course, they're posted in your ERP. And as soon as that's happening, then they will be synchronized to HubSpot. And the same process applies here. So if right now you only have 2 invoices, let's say next time you check this customer, you can have more. It very much relies on the data that you have in your ERP and what's happening there. So you will always see the updates here, and you will see new transactions, so that everything you have in HubSpot will match everything that you have in your ERP. So this would be more or less the data. Let's go back to our presentation here. Okay. So we want to explain a bit how to set up your integration. So this is a fairly straightforward process. Now, when it comes to data flows, of course, apart from the mapping templates, you can also build an integration for custom objects or any other standard tables or objects. Now, within Rapidi will happen the following. First, you have the data mapping and transformation. As I mentioned before, you can use the mapping templates, adjust them so they match your own processes. Then next would be to, decide what to do. So do you want to create new records? Do you want to update them? Or do you want to do both? So it's the action that you have to think about. And then the third thing here would be link storages and lookup tables. So this is not necessarily a mandatory part, but it's something that's being used by a lot of our customers. This means that within Rapidi, you can actually save all the, let's say, the customer numbers and their associated HubSpot IDs, so that you can see that one-to-one relationship. That's something that is automatically done within Rapidi. It's not static, so it's not something that you need to maintain. It's something that will be updated whenever the data flow or the transfer runs. So for example, if you are always creating customers in your ERP, and you want them to be also created in a HubSpot, then that will happen via Rapidi. And when that is happening, the customer number and the HubSpot ID will be saved in that link storage. So it will be a list that will consist of those specific IDs. Now, when we talk about how to set up the integration, we have these steps. Step number 1 is creating the connection. So of course, we need to connect to both systems. So 1, create a connection for HubSpot. So you simply authorize it, and that's it. And after you have connected to it, you will read the full layout from that specific connection, meaning the scope that the connection has. And then when it comes to Business Central or any of the Dynamics ERPs, then the process is a bit different because you need to go through different routes. There are situations when customers need to use Azure in order to connect, or they just use the basic authentication, for example. So based on what you plan to use, we have instructions, and you can go through the steps and make sure that we are connected to your ERP environment. So as soon as you have the connection set up, then you have to decide the data flow action. So what exactly do you want to do? So for example, you can say, okay, so I want to transfer customers from my ERP to HubSpot, and I want to create an update, right? So this means that you want to create any new customers and update existing ones. So that's something that you would choose here. If you say, I only want to create new customers and that's it, that would be an add function. So it's something that's being decided on when you go through the integration setup. Step number 3 is mapping and transformation. So you already have the mapping templates. You can go ahead and review them and then add more fields if necessary, or modify what's in there. So you can go straight to that part and make sure that everything that's being mapped will reflect your business process. And then we have the link storages, what I mentioned before. So they can be used, but they're not mandatory, in order to store the Business Central in the HubSpot IDs of your records. So this will give you a good insight into how many customers have been created and which are their IDs. So the customer number in BC and the HubSpot ID. And then as soon as you are done with testing and you went through your use cases, then you can go ahead and set up schedules so that your records are being created and updated in a timely manner. So when you do that, you do have to look at a few things. First, you need a description. You need to select the frequency, how often you want this to run. Then you have priority, error handling, error interval, and notify interval. So these are the things that you will need to look into and decide what to do. Of course, they can be changed afterwards. If right now you decide on, let's say, I want this schedule to run every hour, but later on you realize that you want it to run every 10 minutes, you can edit the schedule, make those changes, and save them. So then everything will run as you expect. And of course, we do want to focus on best practices. So when you go through an integration of any kind, I would say you have to define the integration scope very well. So think about the scope and how data should flow from one system to another. And when you do that, you also have to make sure that the setup will match your business processes. Second would be using timestamp fields or datetime fields. We have to make sure that in both systems you have that in place. HubSpot has that natively, so then whenever there's a new record created, you will see that timestamp, meaning the date and time when the record has been created. However, other systems don't have that, so they are not visible, I would say, on those specific tables. So they will need to be published so that you can see exactly the date and time when a record has been created or updated. And then create an integration plan. Here you have to think about your testing. So how are you going to tackle this? Make sure you include your use cases, have your data validation process, meaning that you have to think, okay, when do we decide that data looks okay? And we can say that UAT has passed. And also you need error troubleshooting steps in place. So think about, when you run the use cases, how do you plan to troubleshoot that, where you need to go and what needs to be done. And last but not least, you have a contingency plan. So in case things do not go as expected, then you have a plan B so that you can revert to and make sure that everything is okay and you have not disrupted anything. So I think that's it from my side. Back to you, Serene.
Thank you. Okay, so the next topic is customer testimonials. So as I mentioned before, we are really proud to have happy customers. Every time we get customer feedback or a customer review, we are extremely happy and proud to see that the solution is working well and also the feedback. So as you can see, we are holding the 5 stars as an average rating on major IT vendor platforms such as Salesforce App Exchange, the Gartner Digital, and others. We also have the 5 stars as an average support rating through the past years, and this includes customers through different geographies and industries. So we took few examples here today. First one is from a company called Sunrise Power and Battery, where we worked very close with the sales enablement engineer who's area ranking. And he highlights the fact that Rapidi has a great customer service and support. So the implementation team of Rapidi were extremely helpful and responsive to all of the requests that they had. And since the implementation, the system has been working flawlessly. Then next example is from a company called Northside International, where we worked close to the marketing and product manager, who's Justin Liu. He mentions that Rapidi team is very professional and have excellent service. So here he's saying that Rapidi has helped them to set up the connection between their ERP and CRM, and the service is very reliable with a short response time. So while they kept adding more transfers. Rapidi specialists are professional and responsive all the time. So this is the reason why they recommend us as a system integrator. So sometimes people ask, how can we get started? So it's really easy. If you're interested in being a Rapidi customer or partner, it all works the same way. All you have to do is go to our website that you can see here, Rapidi Online, and go through the contact us section. You fill in a few information as your name and whatever is related to your request, like the systems that you're willing to integrate, anything you know and you're sure about. And of course, we will schedule a meeting as soon as possible to listen to your requirements and start working together, hopefully. So whenever we start working together, we go through this implementation process steps. So we would start with the discovery, which is the integration project scope validation with the Rapidi consultants, of course, and the project kickoff. Second step would be the onboarding, which is onboarding you into the Rapidi platform and into Basecamp, which is the online collaboration platform that we use. Then we have the configuration, which is the integration configuration on our Rapidi platform, and we move to the end user testing. We then have the deploy to production, which is the initial data synchronization, upload of historical data, and the actual cutover to the production environment. And finally, we transition to support. So here we have the post-go live support, which is included within the subscription. We have project closure and transition to the operational support. So that's how we do it. If there is anything that is not clear, we are happy to go through it and answer, of course. And now, as a summary, what you get as a Rapidi customer and why Rapidi customers consider Rapidi as an all-inclusive investment model. So the reason is because Rapidi comes with one-time implementation fee and a yearly subscription, including the post-go live support. And as a customer, you would get, first of all, the integration platform, where you would have access to the integration configuration, advanced data toolbox. You get access to log and notification, to monitoring, and also to the Rapidi connector. As we mentioned before, we offer you integration templates that are complete business processes. They are already pre-configured. Of course, they are based on best practices, but they are totally customizable. And these templates come with detailed documentation to help you go through it. And last but not least, of course, the support, which, as I just mentioned, is included within the subscription, and it will help you maintain the integration. You can add fields to existing transfer. You have access to integration advisory, and we will help you resolve any data errors that may occur. And now, as I promised in the beginning, we have a special offer. So for live attendees of this webinar, we offer for the first five, only the first five implementation, a 10% discount of your HubSpot integration implementation package. So all you need to do is go through the contact us section and mention that you attended this live webinar and that you're interested in this integration. And of course, I will get back to you. And now it's time for the questions. So let's go through some questions that we prepared. So first one would be, how can we ensure the best data mapping?
Yeah, so here I think it's important to know your data. So of course, the ERP will be different from the CRM in terms of how data is being structured and handled, but it's good to find like a common ground between them. So for example, make sure that if you have any restrictions in your CRM, like if you have pick lists in there, you also have them in your ERP. Otherwise, you could send bad data if you were to send it from your ERP to your CRM. And also think about, if the ERP is very loose in the sense that you don't have any restrictions, then that can become a problem for the integration, because then end users, they make mistakes. We know that, and they might type in bad data that would go into your CRM. So ensure that there's still, a level of validation and restrictions in place that we can see in both systems. If you get to the point and you say, I cannot do anything with regards to that, and the systems are completely different, then we have to tackle that via the integration and ensure that we set up some rules or something that would ensure that data is being transferred correctly. So, for example, formulas, expressions that would convert the data correctly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about duplicate records and how can we resolve them?
Yeah, so when we start working on an integration, I think the goal is to avoid duplicates at any cost, I would say. So, and for that to happen, it's important to set up everything correctly from the very beginning. So what we do is ensure that there is a unique key that's being shared between the systems that you want to integrate. So for example, you have your customer number in, let's say, in your ERP, which is unique. And then you have the HubSpot company ID that's also unique. So in any of the systems, you can add one or the other as the external ID and have that as unique. And that would be used whenever you transfer data between the systems. So setting up this external ID in any of the systems and ensuring that they match, then that will avoid duplicates. And you will not be in that situation when you are, oh, I have duplicates and I have to resolve them now. So we want to prevent that so we don't get to that specific stage.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do we match data points between our ERP and our CRM?
Yeah, so here, whenever you want to match data between your ERP and CRM, you have to look at what's unique and what's common between those two systems. So you either use a primary key, which is something that exists in all systems for any type of data, or you use a combination of the primary keys if you need to. So that's something that it is set up from the very beginning on the integration. So when we start working on any type of integration, if we say we want to synchronize customers and contacts, we do look at this first and ensure that you have this unique ID that's being used to match data points between the ERP and the CRM.
Okay, and how do you manage life cycle stages with qualification between the two systems?
Yeah, so I think, the source of truth would be the CRM, right? Because that's the place where you have the life cycle stages and qualifications and everything. And then you can send data to your ERP, but only specific outcomes. So for example, you have a deal in HubSpot. So the deal is something you work on, and then after a while it gets closed. So it's won, right? So as soon as you qualify that as won, then that can be sent over to BC as a sales order. So it's just sending the outcome of that specific process, because in an ERP, you might have some CRM specific functionalities, but you will not have the same thing, obviously. So then in order to actually have a match, I would say, between how you qualify everything and how, all your stages, just send the right data to your ERP. Like I said, the sales order, or for example, if you create customers, they go through a specific specific stages. And when they reach a specific stage, you can say, okay, I want this to be in my ERP as a customer, for example. So that would be the association, I would say, between what you do in your CRM and what you have in your ERP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How easily adjustable is the overall data flow setup?
Yeah, so when it comes to the overall setup, you can adjust it at any point in time. So it's easy to do that. If you decide you want to add more to what you have, or you want to remove things, or anything that has to do with your integration, you can do that. Go into your integration, your service there, and then you can edit and change what you need to change. Of course, when you make changes, make sure that those are changes that you want to make and that they reflect your business processes. So the admins, they do have a lot of power, I would say, in that regard. So they can change a lot of things, but always do that with a bit of accountability, I would say.
Okay. So do we need to license HubSpot's operations hub to run the integration?
No, you don't. I think that that's a very important point, is that you don't need to pay extra for the specific HubSpot operations hub in order to actually integrate HubSpot. And if you transfer you want to transfer your data, either custom or standard data, then you are good without this operations hub. Of course, if you need something very special within your HubSpot environment, nothing to do with the integration, then you'll probably need it. But for us, it's not needed, so you can go ahead and set up everything.
Good to know. Okay. What would the process be if I decide to change my CRM?
Yeah, so here, if you are in that situation, I think the first step would be to reach out to our sales team, so that we understand what the process is. If you have a timeline, how you plan to go through the transition, where we step in, and all those things. It's good to do that first. Reach out, understand what you want to do. Then we can make recommendations, or we can support in specific situations. So you have, I would say that would be the best practice, so you avoid any type of issues or any disruptions along the way.
Great. Okay, so why should we choose Rapidi instead of using any other data integration tools?
Yeah, so a couple of reasons. So first, when you sign up with Rapidi, then you get full transparency on everything, meaning your contract, what's included, what are we going to work on, what the process will be, and the cost, obviously. So you will not get any type of surprises afterwards. So that's something that we always do. Whereas other data integration tools, the process is more focused on a T&M basis, like a not very well defined scope, and like pay as you go model, I would say, and then customers can end up paying quite a lot in the end. Of course, there are situations where customers, they don't want a fixed price, but there are also situations where companies, they need to have a budget approved. So they need to have it approved for this project, and all the costs that are linked to it. So in that situation, it's very hard to tell how much something would cost if you have this T&M approach. And then second would be the mapping templates. So we do have the mapping templates, which are built so that you can go straight into testing and don't need to do anything else, and they can be adjusted and modified. Other data integration tools, they provide you that. So there are a lot of mapping templates that can be used, but you have to use them as they are, meaning you have this mapping template for this specific combination of systems in these specific fields. So, and that's it. So you have to use them as they are. If you realize that for that specific combination of systems, you also need custom fields, then you need to go on a different route and have a custom integration instead, because custom fields cannot be included into that specific mapping template. So that's a huge difference. And I think it's important for companies to be aware of that, of the fact that if you go for a different data integration tool, and then you'll have the standard setup, but you have to keep it as it is. But if you have a hybrid, like standard and custom, then you need to go for a custom integration and have a different setup in place. In our case, you can get the mapping templates and modify them as you want, and then add many fields, custom standard, so that in the end you actually transfer the data correctly. And then, of course, last but not least would be support. So After you are done with the integration and you are live in the live environment, then you get post-go live support from Rapidi. So you get specialized help in case something does not go well or you have issues. Other data integration tools, they usually do not provide that. You will have like first level of support in case something happens, but that's not specialized, that's not integration related. So you do have to wait some time until you actually get a resource to help you with your specific needs. And if you need specialized support, then you'll have to pay separately. So these specific integration tools will have to, have a separate contract with you for the support that you need.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Okay, how to set up your data integration project in 3 steps.
So first, define the scope. I think that's the hardest part, I would say, when you start the project, because you really have to think like what you want to do, how everything needs to run. Then connect to your systems so that we can read the data that you want to transfer, and then get those systems in sync, meaning using the mapping templates and testing them until you are good to go live. So when you're using the mapping templates, it's like you have like a fast forward process in place. So you spend less time on mappings or on configurations, and then you go straight to the point. You can test, and then you can ensure that your systems will be in sync really fast.
Okay, and why is it best to deploy when it comes to handling errors?
Yeah, so I think it's good to get ready, yeah, and be prepared really early. And the reason is that you need to be familiar with error messages when you go into production. It doesn't mean that you will get a bunch of errors all the time. It means that you get to be familiar with what they mean and what you need to do in order to resolve them. And I'm saying this because a lot of them, actually the majority of them, are data-related error messages. So they are linked to your data, and then you as a customer need to go into the system, fix it so that everything is transferred correctly. So when you start your project, you can go through testing and also go through this handling errors part.
Mhm.
So you can go through errors, understand what they are pointing to and what to do. So it's like 2-in-1 that you can do during that time. And when your testing is completed, then you'll say, okay, I'm good. Now I understand what I need to do in case this happens in production. So that would be the best approach so that you don't have any surprises in the live environment.
Okay. Okay, when it comes to duplicated records, so how are duplicated records handled during the integration?
Yeah, so when you set up the integration, I think the first point is this, setting up everything in a way so that it avoids creating duplicates, meaning relying on unique keys, on external IDs. Yeah, so not relying on other IDs that are not unique or can be shared by multiple records. So that's something that if it's done from the very beginning, then you will not run into any issues. Apart from the integration that's doing that within Rapidi, then both systems have some rules around duplicates. So HubSpot has that. So in case you try to create a record that already exists, you'll get errors from HubSpot saying you already have this, you cannot create it. So that's like the extra layer you have. But I think in essence, it's important to have it set up within the integration so you don't have to think about duplicate records.
Okay. And why should we choose Rapidi instead of building integration in-house?
Yeah, so when it comes to building something yourself internally, then that's a very internal decision process. And this means that you are not in a rush. Like you have all the time in the world to work on it, and you have resources, you have everything you need for that to happen. But if you need to have a really fast result, if you want to get something out of it fast, then you would use a platform such as Rapidi, because Rapidi has proven to work and can accommodate your integration or whatever you need to build. And when you choose a platform such as Rapidi, then you save time, you save a lot of money, and then resources. So you have benefits. But like I said, if those are not an issue and you have all the time, then you can build something yourself. But you do have to expect a learning curve for the resources, this discovery that can take a lot of time, and then bottlenecks, because sometimes you never know what's ahead. So you go through all that. And of course, the costs associated with this entire project. Yeah.
Okay, and we sometimes also get this question if we support custom objects.
Yeah, definitely. So if you have custom standard, you can use them. Feel free to use them. It's not a problem. I think the only thing here is we have to make sure we have access to them. So then you give us the right permissions to see this object. So if we get to see them and access them, then all good, as many as you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and last question, which systems does Rapidi support?
Yeah, so we talked a bit about that, about the most common endpoints, and we do work a lot with the Microsoft Dynamics ERPs and CRM and other CRMs such as Salesforce, HubSpot, in Oracle databases or SQL databases, any other systems. But of course, we also think that if a customer has a new system, right, that's not, for example, on our list, then we would love to talk about that and see what's the scope for it, like how you want to integrate it, how you want to do it, because we might be able to help with that and build the integration that you need. We list the most common endpoints because those are the systems that we work with a lot, because there's a high demand for them. So companies use them and all those combinations, but doesn't mean that we cannot work with other platforms or other systems. It's just a matter of knowing which those systems are and how you plan to integrate them. We've had requests from customers about new systems, and we were able to build the integration and make sure that everything runs smoothly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. So it's time to wrap up today's webinar. You can have more information in the Rapidi online website. And of course, if there is any doubt, you can contact us. You also have access to solution overviews, many case stories and fact sheets, and you have technical documentation on the wiki. And if anything missing, we will be happy to help. About the feedback, we are always happy to get your feedback because this helps us improve. Not only your feedback about today's webinar, but also if you have any suggestion or any other topics that you'd like to see in the next webinars, we'll be happy to know. So you will find the feedback link in the chat, and we will also be sharing the slides after the webinar, where you will also have the link. We invite you to follow us and connect through our social media channels. We are active on all what you can see here on the screen, and we invite you to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You have videos on YouTube, and as I mentioned before, we will be sharing a lot of things through our social media channel, but also there is interesting information about what we do, and if anything missing, we'll be happy to inform you. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you soon.